On this edition of Broncos Legends, we're catching up with former linebacker Tom Jackson. Tom, thank you so much for taking some time to catch up with us. We like to start all these out by simply asking, what have you been up to lately?
Well, like most of the folks in the country, a large part of what we've been doing is staying at home. We're fortunate enough to be able to have some space to spread out a little bit. And I've been so glad to have sports back, like I think most of the country. So really into the NBA playoffs right now, into a little hockey right now. As strange as the times have been, we spent a lot of it at home, but we feel like we're very much fortunate to be able to have and do the things that we can do.
Can you take us through a normal day for you? What does a day look like?
Get up, work out, try to stay fit. I spend at least an hour treadmill, elliptical, and weights. And then when I get through with that, I jump in the pool.
Wow, so you're staying fit. You're staying ready to go.
Well, I don't know how ready to go, Phil, but yeah, as you get older, it gets a little harder. But yeah, just trying to do the best I can to stay in shape and live a healthy life.
Tom Jackson, a man who played and excelled 14 years at outside linebacker for the Denver Broncos. And I know your eye is peeled to Mile High Stadium, but have you recovered from watching 13 games in the span of 6 hours?
Well, 13 games awfully difficult to watch, and they held interest for me. But the one that's going on in Mile High Stadium is where my heart is right now.
Now, after your playing days, so many people know you from your work at ESPN.
Yes.
Did you always know you were going to get into the media in some way?
I'll tell people the history. So I had played with the Broncos for 10 years. And at some point, I just remember that someone walked into the locker room and said, "We're starting a new show. We've got a host for the show, but we're looking for someone to co-host, to act as an analyst. And is there anyone here who'd like to do it?" And Phil, I went, yeah, I'll try that. And it sounded interesting. It sounded like something fun. The next thing I know, I've been retired. I announced my retirement, and probably within a week, I got a call from NBC. And the call came, and it was like, "We've seen your work. We'd like to have you in New York for an audition." And I said, "Great." I went to New York. I auditioned, and when I got through with the audition, they offered me a job. Now, the reason I didn't take the job was because my father had always told me, when you're making a life decision, a life-changing decision, take the time, to think about it, take at least a week. And so I asked if I could have a week to make a decision. Maybe 2 days later, ESPN called, much less established, just beginning their NFL coverage. And they said, "We'd like to have you into Connecticut at our headquarters and like to audition you as a analyst on one of our shows. And we're starting a Sunday," it didn't have a name, I don't think at the time, "a Sunday NFL show. And we're looking for a couple of people, but we're looking for someone to also do a show post-game, prime time." So I said, "Yeah, I'll come and audition for that as well." So I went in. I met with Steve Anderson, who I believe at the time may have been vice president at ESPN. We talked for a while. I went in for the audition. Chris Berman walked in, and we met, and we chatted for a while. And as the audition got ready to begin, I said, "So, Chris, what are we getting ready to do?" And he said, "We're just going to talk football." And 30 years later, we are like brothers. We're best friends. We're comrades, confidants. Um, I always tell people there was something that clicked. And Boom says the same thing. We can't, I don't believe we can explain it. It's just, there was a natural chemistry, but there was also something else that happened. You know, I tell people I used to read to his kids in bed when they were little. You know, and at his house, and so there was you know, he's been with me through the loss of my dad and the birth of my kids, and it's been a lifelong friendship that started that day, and that's when I notified New York that I couldn't do it, and Boom told me later on that I was I believe, the 13th person that they interviewed for the job. And he said, most times, by the time you get to 13, they've already found someone in that first 12 that suits what they want to do. He goes, so it was unusual that whatever it was that they saw between us, they were like, that works. And fortunately for us, it did, and it worked for 3 decades. So it's a great moment for me. I was very fortunate that ESPN called, and it was life-changing. It was life-changing.
Now, when you guys were doing NFL primetime, did you know how important and influential that show was?
I heard, we would hear all the time from coaches and players who would get home and catch up on their NFL Sunday by watching the show. And they let us know that it was kind of must-see TV for them. And then you start getting that feedback from the public as well, and you realize that this show somehow is not only something that is appreciated by us and us doing it, but it's appreciated by the public and what's being translated to them, that it's coming across in a way that's fun to them. We enjoyed doing it, I think, as much as people enjoyed watching it. But yeah, I didn't realize it at first, but certainly as time went on, I knew that we were having an impact around the country doing the show. And again, I think a lot of that was people could see that we really were, that we were friends, that we were, and had a love of football.